us pay attention and be still. Help us do the things you prompt us to, and help us learn from you. You're welcome to this Wednesday's Bible study as we continue to look at the scriptures. Every chance we have to learn the ways of God are absolutely necessary. The reason for this is that it's by His words that we live. He upholds everything by His words of power. When the King speaks, there's power there. When those words go forth, things are upheld, things are established, things are ordered, enemies are overcome. Righteousness is restored when the King speaks. We need the word of the King. Satan is overcome by the Lord. When the words of God are heard and obeyed, righteousness is established. All of us want righteousness, even those who do not yet know they want it. The mindset of many people when they hear righteousness is, oh, you're trying to make life complicated, trying to tell me what to do. That will not allow me enjoy myself as much as I would like. But that's not what righteousness means. Righteousness is a path. It's a walk. It's a lifestyle. It's made up of multiple steps. That's why it's a walk. Scriptures tell you about the paths of righteousness. The path of righteousness, which we follow for His name's sake. When you keep doing what is right, taking the right steps, it will land you in holiness, which is what God is. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty. The word holy means set apart, distinct. The word holy means set apart. Different, not in a bad sense, but different by reason of being uncommon. Uncommon. The Lord is not common, and He wants His people not to be common. The opposite of holy is common. The opposite of holy is ordinary. To be ordinary. I hope you are hearing me. I know I say it a lot of time, but sometimes I see people's faces, it's very blank. You know, it is just going over their head. How you can know is if you ask them after this meeting, what does it mean to be holy? They'll pull out the error they've been carrying since they were born. They'll throw it at you because they are not hearing. I know the ones that know it, some of them, you had to say it 50 times for it to enter. You know you can learn something the first time you hear it. You can if you're not sleeping with your eyes open. Some of you space out. Your brain is everywhere else. There are times I almost hear what you're thinking. Your body is sitting there and you are not there. You're the ones that make me repeat myself over and over again. And some people, no matter how many, I went somewhere to pray. 3 times I repeated the same thing so that the main person I was there for would join. They didn't join the 3 times. At the end, the last line of the last thing I said, you are not singing. And I'm not repeating myself. I finished and I left. Because people have issues. Learn to be present. That's, you know what they call a church? You know how they say the holy place? What the holy place means, it means the set apart place. It means the place that separates you from the ordinary. Out there is ordinary. If you just step outside now, the world goes on. I didn't say the people selling there are bad. They are not evil. The people walking on the streets, going home, they are not evil. But you came to the holy place, a set apart place, because you want to meet a set apart God. You could have been ordinary right now. You have friends and colleagues and acquaintances and classmates who are in the hostels, lying down on their bed with their feet on the upper bunk. That's ordinarily. It's not evil. It's just normal, what people do. You choose to come to a holy place. How dare you come to a holy place? Not because the walls are righteous. No, you came to a set apart gathering. The only reason should be to meet something that is set apart. Other than that, why set yourself apart if there's nothing set apart about your being here? If you came to act ordinary, it's why we don't act ordinary when we come here. It is ordinary for people to gather in a place and clap their hands and hoot and dance and shout and sing songs. If you've ever seen a concert hosted for some world-class musician, the crowds are in the thousands, seated there. I don't know what music video, I just saw a part of the other day. And there's a crowd, massive auditorium, a massive hall. God knows how much they paid to be there. And someone comes up and sings the same song they've been singing for the past 35 years. The same musician, the same song. He has sung that song a certain way for 35 years. He sings a verse, he sings the chorus, he sings another verse, he sings the chorus, he sings the chorus, he closes. The song is 3 minutes, 45 seconds. It doesn't go longer than that. They came to hear it from his mouth, even though they've played the audio in their house for 30 years. But they must be in the presence of where he is, so they can say they were. So it can be said. There's something about people that wants to be proximate, close to that which appears unique and special. There's nothing as unique and as special as our God, the maker of heaven and earth, the Holy One of Israel, our King. Nothing. You should never forget it. When you do not either see this or you had seen it and you forget it, what you do is what your King James calls to profane the name of the Lord. You've seen that word. It does not mean to dirty it. It means to treat as common the Lord. To treat the one who is not ordinary or common as though he were ordinary and common, as though he were an idol. The idols of men are common. And God takes exception to be being treated as though he's common. He really goes out of his way to point out, I am not common. I am not like anything you know. There's nothing like me. When you are singing it in a song and you don't understand it, there's no one like Jesus. If you're just singing it and you're not understanding, it's why the Bible says sing with understanding. There's nothing ordinary about Jesus, the Christ, the Son of the living God. And he wants you to know it. He wants you to remember it. He insists that it is before your eyes. I am not ordinary. Don't treat me like I'm ordinary. Don't talk to me like I'm ordinary. Don't pay attention to me like I'm ordinary. Do not give to me as though I am ordinary. I'm not ordinary. If you read the book of Malachi in the first chapter, the Lord is objecting strongly to his people. And he's asking them, go and give that thing you brought as an offering in my temple, a blind animal, a lame animal. He said, go and give it to your governor. I wish someone would shut the doors of my house. Was saying they should shut the doors. Why is this place open? Who is giving these people access here? What was his problem? Why do you come into the space of the one who is unique and special with the brain of the ordinary? Why treat me? Nobody needs to be preaching about why church is not a place for bringing comedians or bringing worldly musicians or bringing all those things. If you simply understood what the word holy means, no one would need to preach it. Nobody would need to explain to you why everything is not okay. Why Christians should not organize programs and then fill it with all sorts of problems. You will do this, then you will do this, then you do this. These things are done in gatherings of the world. It's in the world that the people need to be entertained. When there's a Herod having a birthday, they might need a young girl to dance because they enjoy dances. Let's watch her. It's why I'm not excited. I am not saying it's a sin, but it's why I would not approve if when it's time to worship and praise God, a group of you, you know it's normal, come out and stand in front and dance and everybody's looking at you. Ooh, ooh. That's ordinary. That's not holy. We didn't come to watch you perform. The house of God cannot be a place for performing, except you are performing to the king. And the question is, are you, when all of us are looking at you? Some of you have been here for a while. You've noticed, you wonder, when does the choir sing? Why is there no choir ministration? Because it can too easily become a choir performance. And I am anti-performance. But we've had the most glorious worship and praise sessions I've ever experienced anywhere else I have been to. In this house. Whenever you give things to the Holy God, it comes out better. It comes out better than if you're doing it for men. He sprinkles some of his perfume on it, so it smells holy. It is why we can sing, we can worship and praise, and nobody notices who was singing, no matter how beautifully they sang, no matter how wonderfully composed the song was, no matter how impressive. You may notice it later. Some years later, you're listening to a song and you're going, really, did you hear this song? Look at these lyrics, look at this wording, look at the rhyme, look at the this. But when it was happening, you don't notice. That's the atmosphere of the holy. All the attention is on the Most High. It's not on a person. Those who enjoy being the center of attraction, you are profane. You are profane. Profane means common, ordinary. You are an ordinary person performing under the garb of holiness. And God sees right through you. He sees right through you. You must kill it. You must not want to be seen. The reason why our musicians are behind, there's a reason why the singers stand behind. If it was possible for me to preach from behind, I would. You should not want to be the source of attention. When I preach, you do not see me trying to be impressive. You don't see me trying to impress you with how I walk or talk or act. If I enunciate my words more clearly, so no one will miss what I'm saying. But if you see me demonstrate anything required to make you understand what I'm saying, you'll see I'll have to kill my reputation or my appearance for you to understand the point, because it's not about me. If I'm busy walking around with a microphone thinking, how am I looking? Is my stance good? Do I look cool? Am I focusing on how I, a measured pace? Come on. Space out your words. Follow a cadence. These are normal things people do. Make sure you don't ruffle your hair. Make sure you don't look ridiculous. Every move should be picture worthy. Many times preachers are consumed with this thing. It's very difficult to be giving glory to the Holy One while you are busy looking at yourself. You have to get rid of all the you are ordinary. Our God is holy. In hanging out with him, you become holy. The more you do what he does, think how he thinks, say what he says, and do what he would have done, the more you take on his nature. Sanctification is occurring. Separation is happening. You receive the counsel of not being attention drawing to yourself. I repeat, you are profane. You are ordinary. You are common, and you shall be treated like the common. Thrust out from the holy place and the holy of holies. It's a matter of time. If you want to spend time now and in the future with the holy God, you better take all attention off the common. What is common? Pride. What else? Fame. What else? Money. Sensual desires. These are common to man. They are the things that are common to man. Fashion. I have to look like this. If I don't look like this, I'm not comfortable. I must look this way. I must appear this way. I really, really want to be distinguished in this way. I desire to have a particular pursuit. There is. I want to be known for. I want to stand out. Do not want to stand out. Want God to stand out. Only want God to stand out. Anything and everything we do will become a source of blessing to us and to others, and the glory of God will be known and exalted according to the measure of our reducing or getting rid of our profaneness. Do not be profane anymore. When you eat, you are ordinary. It's okay. But remember, there was holy bread. How was there holy bread? Because it was given to the holy God. And when it was given to the holy God, the bread became holy. It's set apart bread. It's not common anymore. Now, it's, in a sense, Jesus said this. David said it, and Jesus referred to it. David said when he asked for that bread, he said, in a manner, it is ordinary. If you're looking for an example of that word profane, for those who struggle and you think, no, that's a negative word, it means dirty. No, it doesn't. It means ordinary. So David was saying, well, that bread, in a sense, it's just ordinary bread now. But it was holy bread. It was only ordinarily to be eaten by the priest and his household. No other person was allowed to eat it. It was made from flour. It was just bread. But it was kept in the holy place on the table of showbread. 12 loaves. As they sat there, the smoke from the golden candlestick, the incense from the golden altar of incense, all of that permeated and affected that bread. So in a sense, it's ordinary bread. But when that which is ordinary is touched by that which is extraordinary, above ordinary, suddenly the ordinary has been raised to a measure of the supernatural, because it was in the holy place. The same applies to you and I when we find ourselves in the presence of a holy God and the influences emanating from his self-generated atmosphere begins to lay upon us, and a Moses' face begins to shine. The oiliness in the atmosphere, the scent of the frankincense and more is on it. That's what you call sometimes the anointing. That's what reaches out and touches people and brings about change. It's an ordinary man. She's an ordinary woman. But that which is from the presence of God has rested on them. And in a sense, they are no more ordinary. The Lord told Aaron and Miriam, he said, I speak to prophets in visions and dreams. To Moses, that's their younger brother, I speak face to face. Why weren't you afraid to talk against him casually? And there was discipline. So while in a sense, things are ordinary, like this wall, for years you've heard me tell you that the church is not a building. You come to a meeting to meet with the church. You come to the church meeting hall. It is not the walls and the pillars and the floor here and the roof that is the church. No. The church is the people gathered in this building. If they moved under a tree, that would be the church. They were on a boat. That would be the church. They would say the church is on a boat. The church meets on the tree. If you looked at that tree and said, this is the church, wouldn't it be strange? But that's how we speak ordinarily. The church building, the church hall, the church meeting hall is not on its own anything but ordinary, except due to the continued incense that goes forth to permeate even the walls and the floor and the ceiling over time. It is why, and I'm bringing a balance to something that people will often go to extremes on. There are those who say, no, there's no place that is holy or special. And if you're to pick one, I would be someone who speaks like that, who has believed that and who tries to see any place I am as a place where God can show himself. That would be my inclination, as you probably have heard me over the years. But the balance to it is, don't make the mistake of thinking that there's no place. I just gave you how it happens. The constant incense arising from a place, the repeated placement of a thing or a place before the face of the holy God can be and will be influenced with time. It's why someone can go to a place where someone had been with the Lord, and it is possible that the Lord touches the person just by their being in that space. I say this at the risk of, you know how strongly I preach against idolatry. But I think the point of my saying this is that it is wisdom to not treat every place ordinarily. It is simple wisdom to not treat every place as though it's an ordinary place. Distinguish places from places. Distinguish people from people. The great woman of Shunem stood. Let me put down pause. Just remind me Shunem and say something about places. There's a story about a young lady. She was very prayerful, they called her Holy Mary. Old story. And she would sit on a pew in that church, a pew, you know, the long wooden benches with a backrest. She would sit on it. The summary is that nobody else could sit on the pew she sat on. If you did, you'd be on the ground. Because she sits on it. The power of God runs on it, literally. So those who go to sit on it just slump and just go under it. You just go down. Nobody push you. Nobody's even talking to you. You just can't. That's the amount of the presence of God that was on this young girl many years ago. People have gone to a place, a servant of God was praying, sat down on a stone, was very tired and said, you know what? So tired, I can't pray. All of you have gathered to be prayed for. When I stand up from here, just come and touch the stone. And he left. And everyone that walked with your crutches, when you get there, touch it, you drop the crutch and move. Healing, everything. What happened? In a sense, he had made that stone holy, a set apart. If you went and touched any other stone there, nothing will happen to you. At that time, this stone. There is an ability for things to be influenced by what is there. You enter a room where they've lighted many firewood fires, it will be smoky smelling, even though nothing was cooked recently. Yes? Yes? Whatever was caused to exude from that place can, especially due to the volume, influence the place. When you hear of people going to a place, going to a room, I've told you about Moravian Falls, where the Moravian Christians, the first modern missions group that were so given to God that their young men were trying to take the gospel to the West Indies. And the West Indies had some of your forefathers, blacks, slaves, captured and sold. And they were chained and they walked in the plantations, the sugarcane plantations. For those who still don't understand how the love of money is the root of all evil, understand that almost all the evil that has been done in this world was done because someone was looking for money. It's not that complicated. Many of the evils people do, they would never have done it if they didn't want money. Much more money than you need for food or clothing. That's the primary danger of the love of money. It makes people do what should not be done. Example, steal a human being and sell to a white man. Take note, it's your great-grandfathers that stole the human being, not the white man first. What I mean is, where I am, do not talk about racism. I know there's someone, you believe, catch up. You know, the truth is coming out. Do you know the truth? It's not like the white man came deep into your village and stole your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. Your great-great-great-grandfather's friend planned and kidnapped him and took him down to the edge of the water, Ikorabasi, different places, and sold him and collected whiskey, collected a mirror for his wife. That's what happened. So cool down with the hypocritical. God will judge you according to how you judge. Don't leave. You've heard many stories. Yes, about slavery. Do you know black people in America had slaves? You didn't hear me. Former slaves had slaves and treated them like slaves. Black people in a... You're not believing. You're like, no, now. Hey, if you know what is, you wait for judgment day for judgment. When you hear people talking, you won't say much. You just say, okay. And everyone say, you're not even reacting. Am I ignorant? Am I a hypocrite? I cannot react. You are no better. The thing you're complaining about. They brought out a movie called The Woman King. They were very big. They came to take slaves. Meanwhile, that tribe was known for making slaves, almost like nobody else. Who saw The Woman King? Did you know? Even after I watch it, when you watch something, you don't check the story behind it. You just swallow hook line. Who has seen a Komodo dragon swallowing something? Very disgusting. Snake, uncle. Terrible looking. That's how many people swallow information. Whole. You won't even clip the nails. The people being attacked for slavery the most were the nicest slavers that existed. It's in the countries that first freed their slaves that they make the most noise against slavery. Arabs and other nations still had slaves after Britain and America stopped slavery. And they sold slaves more than the white people you're talking about. They had more slaves. They did more slave trading. This is a bonus for being in church early. You're not early. They had more slaves. How come nobody is talking against them at all? Because they don't have your time. You're attacking the British and the Americans because the British and the Americans heard Bible from preachers and felt guilty and said, let's stop, let's stop. It's not good. And they stopped. And in their own different ways, they said, we are sorry. How can a country fight a civil war over slavery? America, headed by Abraham Lincoln, fought a civil war. When they were shooting at the people from the south, the bullets that hit them did not say, it's your brother, it's your in-law. They will not die. No, people died. White people killed white people. So they will leave black people alone. You think they didn't try? A country was split into two. Relatives killed themselves. So they will leave these black African men. What if someone completed it by saying that were given to us by their brothers? Their own fellow black man was willing to sell them, didn't change their mind. A white man came and fought over. There are parts of America, there was never any slavery, never. There was no time they were slaves. The northern parts, they were never slaves. Southern parts, they used them to work. And you're going to spend the rest of the years of your life talking about how, this American, all were racist. They killed themselves hundreds of years ago to free slaves. You still think they are all racist. They died for you, literally, for your great-great-grandparents. You're still accusing them. Now, the other nations of the world that had slaves and never repented, never changed their mind, never did they say sorry, never did they try to do anything, never did they do anything to make it up. Countries in America, they did things to make it up. They came up with quotas. For every number of so and so people that get admission into school, we'll give so and so number of black people too, even if they don't qualify. Even if they are not as qualified, even half like this white person, we'll give them. We'll do official partiality to make it up, to give them a chance. Now, in those nations that have said, we are sorry, what can we do to correct it and amend it? That's where those same former slaves and the rest are. Not some of them were never slaves. Remember, there were people blacks in America that were never slaves. There was no time they were slaves because they were up north. In your mind, everyone that is black there was a slave. Some were freed early. Some were bought from the beginning and freed. And guess who bought them and freed them? Whites too. Shouldn't this count for something? Do you know why you don't know this? How will you be angry when you know this? There's one reason for lies, and many do not know why you should not be. You don't even listen to me. You didn't need to know this to not be angry against and hate people and hate different races. You didn't need to know it. You should not carry anger or grudge against anybody because Jesus said you should not. God says you should not. But even if after you hear this, I'm telling you, why did you not hear it before? Because the story is no sweet without there being lies mixed into it. And the devil wants you angry because at the end of the age, which we are approaching more and more, the divisions are meant to increase. The Bible says, nation shall rise up against nation. The Greek word nation shall rise up against nation in Matthew 24 and the rest is the word ethnos shall rise against ethnos. Ethnos is the word from which you have the English word ethnic group. So ethnic groups are not countries, nation states. No, they are tribes. If you therefore have recognized my very strong stand against, you see, it says in verse 7, Matthew 24:7, nation will rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. A kingdom is closer to what you call a country, an area under one ruler. But a nation is a tribe. And at the end of the age, it's going to get worse and worse. Much worse. And if you don't know it and you haven't been delivered, you still attend a church where the pastor is nepotic. Pastor is still nepotic. Preaching against tribes. Speaking against any group. You'd better ask God to forgive you first and foremost for being a disobedient Christian. And stop listening to anything that makes you nepotic. Anything at all that makes you say, don't mind these Yorubas. Don't mind a Yoruba man. Anything, any element of that thing in you that categorizes people according to any grouping, Anang, Oron, people. Anything that ends with people. When you say the sentence, it ends with people. Be careful, or the devil will use you in these last days. You must be free of it. For some people, it's normal. It's based on what you heard growing up. For some people, demons have joined in because you heard it too much. You understand? I always tell you there are two levels of everything. The ordinary version, then the demonic version. This is the upgrade. Anything in the world. Food, you like food? Ordinary. You love food. Not ordinary. You're like a human elephant. We don't know where the food goes, but you like food. You could sell your mother if she was around. It is so bad that you don't know what is wrong with you. You have sat down and thought of it. Consider demons. Demons are that extra oomph in anything. Just like the Spirit of God can be an extra ability in good things. When it's a bad thing, demons may be helping you. If you find it there, it's strong, very strong, abnormal. So you find yourself that you have a huge distaste, too strong, for people of certain tribes or other tribes. Maybe you have that little extra thing. Maybe some small imp like this hanging on you. And it groups people. It's not there for fun. It's waiting for the day of trouble. So it will arise and create factions. To create factions. This is the nature of demonic presence. Don't have any nepotism in you. Tribalism, as you often call it. None. Have none. Make sure you have prayed it through. You have asked the Lord. You've renounced. You've gone out of your way to deliberately love people from anywhere. Do good to them, to any other human being. Be completely free of that thing, or the devil will use you in the last days. He will use you now, but he will use you specially. You might be a source of fomenting great rage, even genocide. Whole groups of people have been wiped out because of this thing. That's when the demons manifest fully. People have wiped out others in almost millions at times because of this. They hate a certain people, a certain culture, a group of people. Because why would you kill everyone, big and old, small? Why would you hate a group of people that have never done you wrong? Or known you? Maybe one person did something to your great-grandfather. Then your lineage, they kept speaking against them, kept speaking against them, kept speaking against them. Until you started carrying out purges. They started killing. Some quietly. You came into power, became a president, became a military leader, a militia leader, some group. Then Rwanda happens. If you have not watched, sometime in April, you should watch it. In fact, I tell the people in this church, you must watch it. It's a command. Mandatory watching. If you don't know it, ask for it. It's floating around the house. Watch it. Sometime in April. You may have watched Hotel Rwanda, but I think sometime in April might be a better representation. Sometime in April. Watch it. Watch and see how it is possible for a group of people to hate another group for no reason. I might say, no, they had a reason. The Tutsis had a reason to be hated by the Hutus. Really? Enough reason for you to use machetes and hack them at the knees and call them cockroaches? Cockroaches? How did that happen? Oh, because people kept talking and kept talking. A lot of them talk like Nnamdi Kanu that some of you like. And if you're born again and you listen to things like that and anything in you is happy, you better get born again. You have not read 1 John 2 or 3. You have not. You have not. You are so self-deceived. When you wake up in the lake of fire, you know nonsense is not good. You see people having all sorts of mindsets and acting like, well, you know, this thing is how it is. It is how what is. You don't fear God. You don't fear God at all. You have no regard for God. It's different if God has not spoken about a thing. What about when he has shouted about it? So you'll be in the army, the ethnic armies. You join them. You take your small knowledge of Bible you learn and add it and use. Twisting scripture up and down. In Rwanda, the pastors would go and call and say, come and see them. They are here. They came to church to hide. Pastor will go and expose them. They'll come, stand, carry gun, open fire, brrr, or set the place on fire, sir. Why? Why are you killing everything that is Tutsi? For what reason? You've always hated them. Who made you hate them? Till that guy was on radio calling them cockroaches. Kill the cockroaches. And they supplied machetes. And they started a genocide. 1994. Now, within less than 3 months, they have killed almost 1 million people. Just hacking away. What does it look like? Tutsi. Half Hutu, half Tutsi. Kill it. Rape it first, then kill it. Just talk. Anger, boiling, sitting down and boiling. You boil it, you add spices. Stirring up hate. Many of you have sat down, you've sat in family, relatives, among relatives, groups of people. Make sure you ask God to forgive you for pretending to be born again. Give me 1 John 2. See, the Bible says that if you hate your brother, if anyone claims to be in the light, verse 9, but hates his brother, he is still in the darkness. It's not if you want, you are still in darkness. You don't know what to hate. Or you don't know what it means to hate. If anyone claims to be in the light, but hates his brother, the guy is a Christian like you. I better leave, you know all this. And you're born again. You're still in darkness. He didn't say you are in darkness. He said still in darkness. If you're wondering why should you keep saying someone is not born again, who are you to say someone is not born again? Go and quarrel with 1 John 2:9. He says still. So maybe you are, in a sense, born again. But you have not come out of the darkness you were in before you were born again. You were in darkness. Any faction spirit, anything that divides people into male, female. I've told you years ago, you should find the messages and listen to them. I can stand here and boldly say, Igbos are more prone to do this. A Yoruba person is more inclined. This is much more common amongst Hausas. An Anang person, an Ibibio person, an Oron person. I can point out certain inclinations they may have. And as usual, I'll have Bible backing for what I say or think. The book of Titus, Paul is speaking about Cretans, the inhabitants of Crete. And he's saying, as one of their own said, that Cretans are always, and he gives some very unflattering descriptions of this group of people. As one of their own poets, the word prophet can be used for poets, has said, but he could have been a prophet too, from Crete. Cretans are always liars, evil beasts, lazy gluttons. Now, do you see, he says this, but watch something in the following verse. This is Paul. This testimony is true. Hey, therefore, have nothing to do with any of them, yes? What does it say? Read with me. Therefore, rebuke them sternly, so that they will be sound in the faith. So they will still be in the faith, but they will be sound because they were unsound. They came into Christianity with the character of their culture. Culture affects people, where people are coming from. This is how everybody in that area, they run after money. If you have not built a house in the village, at least one duplex. If you have not done this, or in our area, if you must at least do this. If you have not done this or that, then. So people are driven. If by so and so age you have not bought this, you have not gotten this, you have not done this, you have not done that. That's what makes people become sinful. That's what makes them. So that's what can make them liars, evil beasts, lazy gluttons. They've grown up seeing people tend to be lazy. I can tell the ethic people tend to be like this. I can say, I've said those things standing to preach. I can say it again now. But I'm not saying it with any iota of nepotism. I'm not saying with any iota of, therefore I dislike you. No, I can tell you the truth, like Paul just told you the truth, that people from this area tend to be, because they've made it a practice. And then he says, what do you now do? Now that you see the problem they may be inclined to have. Boys, males tend to be inclined to be like this. Young boys of a certain age, young girls of a certain age, of a certain place, they tend to act this way. You must first recognize the problem and then know how to, then you deal with it. Do you get? He said, rebuke them sternly, so they might be sound in the faith. He said, come here. You cannot be lazy like this. You can't be doing evil things. Why do you tell lies? So recognize that they might be inclined to lie, because their culture, everybody was lying. He came out of the ghetto. He's inclined to use foul language. And the scriptures say, evil communication should not come out of your mouth. I don't care which particular ghetto you came out of. You need to brush your teeth. That's an inclination. Are you understanding? You're inclined to act like where you came from. I understand. But on judgment day, go, no, all right, all the Cretans come this way, all right, for them, overlook lying. No, they are not overlooking anything. You will receive the punishment of a lie. So give them that extra attention in beating out lies from their nature. Are you understanding? Rebuke them and do it sternly, not nicely. Sternly, be stern. Don't say, you know how another person may lie that is not from Cretan. You just say, that thing you say is not true. And they feel very ashamed. But if it's a Cretan, they lie for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So why it has to be stern is because they cannot feel if you go like, that was not true. No! Come here. Come. Open your Bible. Read. Have you seen what God said about liars? Did you read all liars? The last one. Did you read? In Revelation. Did you see how close the lake of fire was next to the liars? Be very careful. That's how you rebuke a Cretan. Another person, you may not have to rebuke them that strong. They feel it already. Are you understanding my explanation? You can say, you too like money. And it's a joke. For some people, it's not a joke. Next thing, they might boil someone's head. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. You can't rebuke them like that. You ask them, where were you? They said, why were you not in the church meeting? There's this job. Don't react like that. Check where they are from. Is anyone learning? Yes. Where are you from? Oh, okay. Should I give you classification? Should I use live examples? Okay. Who knows people? Who knows? Tell me, people from Calabar, what are they inclined to be? Southern Cross River, not Northern. Southern. Who knows the difference? Southern, Northern Cross River. Huh? Who knows the difference between Calabar Axis and Ogoja, Odukpani up, this or that way? Who knows the difference between the city of Calabar Axis? Who knows the difference between the character of the people? You grew up in Port Harcourt, you may not know anything. Yes? Calabar people are like Italian. Okay. They are more prone to want to enjoy, relax.
While the
Northern Cross River are farmers. Conscious. Not so much, but they work hard. Business, but they work hard. They have to bend. They have farms.
Yes, sir.
They plant yam. Gari, fufu comes out of there. Calabar was the first capital of Nigeria. You don't know. You thought it's Lagos. Calabar. Those guys have chopped. You think their carnival is a joke? Those guys have chopped life for a long time. Slaves passed through that side. They saw people there for mirrors and beads. And kai. Gin. In all my years, working with a company as a business development manager, amongst other things. When we would get a client, we would have to rent property and house our staff, a company staff. So I was responsible I was also the head of legal and admin. So I would look for houses. I'd find accommodation for the staff. There's no house I rented in Calabar that belonged to someone from Calabar. None. All the owners were from Akwa Ibom State. All. So I'm not just a story. I created the agreement. The name of the people there, you saw where they were from. Mr. So and so, Mrs. of so and so, Uyo, Itu, Oron. Now, you know Akwa Ibom and Cross River were one state. They cut Akwa Ibom out of, so yeah. But everybody, you know, just like Lagos, they went to Calabar to get to job. The question is, how come they were far away and they built houses? How come the people from the place? There's this danger that happens with people who are at ease. I guess because these ones had to come out. So they had to. But how come these are the ones that have houses every time? Every single house I ever rented. And I don't know how many houses I rented there. I just know that the owners were never from there. They were from elsewhere. Except when you go to Northern Cross River. And I did. Then you rent property that belongs to the people there. So they tend to be more lazy. Who grew up in Calabar here? Do you agree or not agree with me? You agree. You don't agree? Do you agree? But I love ethic. It's like the French is to English. French and the Romance language is Italian. That's how ethic is. You could eat with, if you use a bar, you can eat ethic. It just goes all together. And for those who have not heard it, long ago it was so. I don't know how it is now. Do not send your husband to Calabar. Follow him. You lose your husband. Those days. Yes, now, when you treat a man like an Ibibio woman, you treat him like a lord. It's a very easy way. Same pot of food, daddy and for where? They take time. They treat him like a small. I can't even give the illustrations I've heard. It's embarrassing. You want to hear it? Yes. The man farts. The wife will ask, I hope you have not hurt your butt. Who has heard this thing before? I take Kamba. How do you say it? Ibum. With that. Like, so can you picture? And she's not laughing while she's saying it. She's very smooth. They are fine. That is the expression. They are smooth. The women would be trained to be like that. And they would treat the man like a small lord. Where is he going? Has he not forgotten you? He has forgotten you. You that say, if you're hungry, if you like, don't. You are Bero. You think I am Bero wants to marry another Bero? All right, you get the point. They have their beautiful points here, but they have finesse in certain things. How, on the other hand, can be too relaxed for their own good. They want to play, want to party, want to drink. Yeah. I'm not saying the spirits from the water didn't affect them. Sorry. Okay, whatever. But Calabar is a certain way. If you started arresting all the criminals years ago in this one, if you like be angry, that's your problem. I'm looking for Cretans. Start arresting all the criminals, all the people that were arrested for armed robbery years ago. I don't know, but I'm sure it will be a ratio of out of every 10 people, 8 would be Igbos. Where do you think they were from? Hausa? You think they were Hausa? You're raging against, what do you call them? Bandits. When did they start? Were you not born before they started? When did you hear of bandit first? Were you not grown up? Did you ever hear of bandits before? Who taught them? They are boys. What do they know? Who grew up in the 80s, 90s? Armed robbers between Igbos and Edo, Benin. What has heard of Anini before? What have you heard? Anini, the king of thieves. Anini was generous, at least, with his loot. Armed robbery. It's very normal that they will break in. Now, there are reasons. As I spoke about the Calabar axis, I gave you some reasons, some influences, and it's real. From different things have an influence on a people. The Igbos, I've told you how after the war, they were deprived. Port Harcourt. The same way I've said Calabar property was built by people that are from this axis when it was one state. The southeastern state. Port Harcourt was built mostly by guess who? Igbos. And during the war, the people from that area, the others, the rivers people, they took those property. You should know a little history, a little. It's okay to know a little history. When you join and watch CNN and be bashing white people, your own is not so long, it's in the 60s. It's just not that long. So Igbos, due to the war, they had to move. They moved, they ran, they moved. And like I told, that what led me to start saying this thing, the love of money. So instead of someone taking people's property and holding for them, I hope some people did that. You have the mind to deprive the honor of a thing from it. You may even go and call and say, come and see, we found an Igbo here. Hey, see an Igbo man. And you call federal troops and you expose them. So they'll kill them so you can own the property. I don't know if that will give you a clear conscience. Because you want to own the property. Like they did in Spain during the Inquisition. You go and report a Jew or report a Christian so you can own what they have. Because when they hang the person or kill them, who own the things? You come up with a trumped up charge. You lie against them and say they did something. They didn't. So the Igbos had to move. Of course, many of them to Umahia, to Enugu, they had to move, run. And they left their things, as will happen during war. And what happened thereafter? Oh yeah, was it not their property? Didn't they have children? What happened to those things? Now, what do you think happened to the young men that came out of that? I'm hinting why they might be inclined to rob someone and not care, and shoot people dead and not care. Are you understanding that whole anger? Like, how could they do this to? How much did they give them? It's 20 naira. 20 naira, yeah. You don't know. You don't know after the war they call people and when they came. Oh. Okay, well, maybe I'm wrong. But it was bad. There was hunger. There was difficulty. Nigeria reintegrating, things settling down. It was hard. So you're over into the 70s to the 80s. So in the day of armed robbery in Nigeria, which has almost died out almost totally, armed robbery, real steady armed robbery happening. A lot of the people. Now, I'm not saying that thing I said 8 over 10. I may be wrong. It might be 7. Might be 5 over 10. I doubt it though. A lot of people, especially back then. Because people they're trying to find their feet. Things were difficult. It's not an excuse to be a criminal. But a lot of the armed robbers that broke into people's houses were speaking Igbo. Do you understand? Who knows? In Lagos, where were the armed robbers from? Okay, these are all children. They tended to be Ndubisis and Emekas. Where do you think they're from? Yoruba? Yes? Okay. Someone said Yoruba thieves. They are thieves from Akwa Ibom, from Anang, from Uyo. They are thieves in Uyo right now. From everywhere. But you know, I hope you understand what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that. They are not thieves everywhere on earth. I am saying that the majority of the groups, the gangs of thieves, were comprised of certain extractions. The same thing would apply if you come to, and again, I don't mix enough with, but there are certain cultures, tribes, they tend to be much more dubious. They will be more inclined to try to cheat you out of something if you enter into business with them. I don't know which one. What did your parents say? They are certain, be careful who you are sitting next to, you say something. Me, I'm the preacher and I'm anointed. How many of you know that there are certain people from certain cultures, they are more inclined to be, if you look amongst the Yoruba culture, it might be certain Yoruba, there are cultures where people tend to be more dubious against each other. For real. There are cultures where they are closer, they are more friendly amongst themselves. There are cultures where people can be more hard-hearted. They have a tougher heart. They have mind. Who? Hausas? Who? There are cultures where they tend to be more, there are cultures where they are more prone to violence. Who? Did you say Anang? Equere, worry, Anang. Yes. Worry when they carry last. The Anangs. So in different places, you have different things. The Anangs here are more prone to violence. They have a more violent past. They're more warrior-like. They're cannibalistic. They chop you up and chop you. What are you? What is that? What's that? The Ngwa too, who were their enemies. The Ngwa people too. You enter. Silence. Who is from Ngwa? We'll still be afraid. What? You have not heard these things. So they would fight with the Anangs. Cha, chu, pa, no. Till today. They say get a security man from Ikorumo till today. What are you saying? It's a brand name. It's a brand. Ikorumo is a brand. As Megad is to Nigeria, Ikorumo is to Akwa Ibom State. And they employ them to any part. The belief is that they have Odeshi. They are powerful and fearless. Why? Because they come from a violent, warlike past. They clash, cultures, I'm explaining. Now, when you're dealing with someone from that area, you know these influences from lineage can flow over. You know how things work. I hope you have a clue of how things work in this world. You are not 100% your own person. You do know that. If you don't know it today. If your mindset is that, no, me, I'm unique. No, from the moment I was born, is it you collected blood straight from your mother and father? It's running in your veins right now. DNA. So you are loaded with contributions from others. Your great-great-great-grandfather, all sorts of things. So when you come to Jesus, sometimes, even if you were not with your culture growing up, you went to Lagos, you went outside the country, that's where you grew up. Even if you don't have direct influence from interacting with people from your place, just the bloodline, it's called the bloodline, it's running through you. So there are spirits from that are inclined. So you might find yourself inclined to be certain ways because of your lineage. And what did Paul say? So that's how it's handled. That's how I handle it, or at least I should. I'm taking extra notes today. I notice I treat everybody the same. I do not see people through any difference. But if I notice you seem to have a particular issue and it keeps coming up. Now, before today, because the Holy Spirit teaches me often when I'm standing here, I wouldn't have had it this clear, laid out this clear. Okay, maybe I should have asked, where are you from? Just unfortunately, when people ask people things like, where are you from? They go like, oh, then they judge you. No, the person may be from that area and is far better than you in that area his people are weakened. Yes, he may be far better than you. You see someone acting like, no, we are so good. Me, I'm so, I'm not violent. Or I'm from Anang. The person could be an Anang person. I'm very gentle. Very gentle. Let me see all the Anang people here. Let me see if it's true. Some of you, I don't know you well enough to know how prone you are. This one was violent. I heard his testimony. I saw his testimony the other day. This Charles, does it look like? We don't know. God's favor. We don't know. You're small. 18 years now. Who has lived 18 years? Is she gentle and sweet? And has anyone ever dragged with her before? Have you poked the sleeping lion? We don't know. We don't know. Let me see the hands on this side. Destiny. Well done. I heard say he vexed the other day. I don't know who is calm. All these people look tough. Say Princess is really trying to like I'm gentle. Where is her sister? Is she? Where is her? Are you? She. Princess is not. These are princess like this. No, I mean princess. She's. So it doesn't mean she smells so. Well, it's well with you. You can't look at them now and say, no, I've not noticed that any of them has caused more problems than any other person. If they have stood out and they say, no, this one is always causing trouble, I would say, but it's not so. That means the word of God has entered them. Now we don't know what will happen in an extreme situation. You just be conscious. If you find yourself prone, then you say, and if it seems abnormal, remember, it can be ordinary, it can be supernatural. If it seems abnormal, then you realize, oh, they might be stuff from my lineage. But Jesus purges us of all these things. Are you hearing me? Jesus purges us of all evil, all unrighteousness, all. But do take note, if you find yourself, don't excuse it. Don't joke with it. You find yourself, you're more driven. Every time you're running after money, you find it easy to turn from God, to run after money. I'll ask you, are you from Uyo? Who knows what Uyo people are known for? In Akwa Ibom. What? Is you that said it? Uyo people are very business-like. Many BBOs are not very business-like. Uyo people like business. So he said they like money. Me, I said they like business. I mean, Uyo, I have to watch how I talk. But they are business-like. They are different. Many of our culture are not very, they are different. You can't do broad categories. I've told you, you can't pick an Aba Igbo and equate them to an Owerri Igbo. There's a difference. Owerri Igbos are like Ibibios. They are more inclined to be calm. Civil service, calmer. They are not violently commercial. What's the difference between a Kitty man and a Yoruba man? The spelling. I'm sure those cultures, I don't know enough about Yorubas. You hear hints. People say things. I won't talk about what I have not observed. But there are differences. You can't say all Yorubas. Don't talk like that. So he didn't say all the Greeks. He said Crete. There are Greeks in Crete, Greeks in Corinth, Greeks in, do you understand? Different places. In Philippi. But the ones of a certain culture. So what's the Bible saying? That your culture can affect you. Are you listening? I hope you got the lesson. What you grew up seeing and hearing and observing. You notice your friend is always talking about money. Always talking about money. Always talking about money. No worry. No worry. I gave you a little of why I think the Igbos became so passionate about pursuing money. Because even the Jews, have you seen how the Jews are? Because they sit down and they go, There must have been people that just go, now wow, we they suffer. See as we they suffer now. You know fair now. And they always say, my guy, no worry. We go make them for this life. You see, things lead to things. Cultures did not come all from Adam. Things are born along the line. A people become a certain way. Then it can become a thing of pride. And if you're not like that, they can mock at you. The Maasai. And by the time they ask you, have you killed your lion yet? So everybody goes to kill lion. I hope you know sometimes the lion killed the person, right? So the real question is, why? What is it? Leave the lion alone now. What is your problem? Why you enter bush, go look for lion? And the answer will likely be because if you don't do it, they will be saying, you're not a man. Which woman will marry you? What will you say? Have you killed your lion yet? Who came up with that nonsense? Somebody. Your culture should be rooted in Jesus. The Jewish culture was supposed to be very unique and is quite unique because the Lord gave the people of his people, he gave them certain practices that became normal, became the norm for them. They got used to acting certain ways based on the laws, the rules they followed, the things they took pride in. So they became very religious. Amongst the things that Jews were, they tend to be religious because a lot of what they did involved worship of God, of their God. If we too will learn to, don't let your culture influence you too much. To the extent the culture you're coming from is against the word of God, drop it. But there are good aspects of every culture. Go along with that. Their cultures, they are very generous. Their cultures are very kind. Their cultures, they are colorful. The way they dress, their cultures, their ways they, act. They have aspects of their culture that are enviable. You should want to take something from it. Some are neat. Some are very, very neat, very clean. That's another thing with used to be with the Calabar people, Neat, clean, do it neatly. Again, the influences in their life, white people and all that. I told you how I went to visit someone in a church I was in years ago. I went up the stairs and I turned around and saw an old woman who was bent in half. And she was walking like that. Literally, she was. That's how she was. And her hair was whitish, hand braid just sticking out in every direction like a scary. Went up and said, I called out, hello. I clapped and there was someone coming. And I went, oh, ma, that is in my language. Ma, young man, how can I help you? Hey, oh, he's not around. Hey. You know how this sounds so much? What? I remember I mentioned it to my mom and she says, oh yeah, probably one of these people who, when they were young, served a white woman. You don't understand? She may have been 5, 6. She may have been with Mary Slater. Yes, now. May have been in Calabar serving a white woman. This was her English show. She can't be acting. Old woman, get time to act for you. This is her English. It's Queen's English. It's proceeding neat. Very striking experience. Firm. Young man, how can I help you? And she went on to speak like, she's not, why I tell people, you think you can speak English. You have not been around an old white teacher taught standard 4, maximum education man before. Go to the village. Or maybe one of these gate men, I don't know. It's just that generation is passing. What they knew by primary 4, you finish year 4. You're still praying for your educational process. All right. The point I was making is have no nepotism within you. Have no tribalism. Have no bias or prejudice against anybody that is different from you in any way, or the devil will use you, and you are still going to be in darkness in areas of your life. You'll be in darkness. You will not see God's light. You're here. When it's time to ask question, ask. You have a question, note it down now. You can write it down to send in, or you raise your hand. But make sure you have no excuse. I don't care. You know, we once had a tenant from around. My father rented him a property. He refused to, and then my dad said he wants to use the property. He refused to leave. Say, I want to use the property. I literally want to. He wouldn't leave. I was involved in drafting the agreement that got him the property. He had spent 3 years there. My dad had not raised the rent. Didn't raise the rent once. And then my dad said, he had told him, say, hey, sell me this property. And he said, no, he's not selling it. All that. And the man started causing trouble. So when he was served the plaints, please, can you vacate the property? He sued my father. Have you seen a thing like that? The warehouse we used to use years ago, he sued him. He was sued to leave the property. He sued back. He countersued. You're trying to look for the sense he makes. It doesn't make any sense. It can't make sense. What's your problem, Oga? Because I said I won't sell it. He said, he actually told me, I told you to sell me that property, you won't sell it. You see. You see, voila. In this modern world, it's not like the person is dealing with his illiterate or anything. Very amazing. Unfortunately, and I look at it as an example of how prejudice can be born. You saw there were 2 warehouses, right? 1, 2. That second one was loaned to another man who happened to come from the same tribe. He did the same thing. They didn't tell me I was there. It was. So I heard my dad say, no, people from. You see how it happens. So as a child of God, you're going to have to fight that. Who's from around here? If you like, deny your tribe. Only one person. I see a hand. Is that Excalibur? Okay. I see only 3 hands. The rest of you, only 3 people. Okay, those in the overflow and online. All right, you know I'll call your name. All these are newer people, unfortunately. I want to know our old people. I don't know where our people are from because I don't care. So I don't know where people are from because I never see people through the lens of where they are from. It doesn't matter. You cannot. Now, but based on what we saw in the Bible today, if you notice them have a weakness that seems common to their people from their side, do what? Rebuke them sternly. Know that with them is a bigger issue. Don't do it lightly. Tell them, come here. You are at the risk of the devil chaining you and dragging you to the nature of your forebears. If you don't repent, they are to be rebuked. They are not to be laughed over. If they have a trait, and if you notice it, say, oh, this is how we do now. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. I went to Namibia. Is it far? It's a SADC country. It's a South African development. It's next to South Africa. Namibia. Is it far? You don't know the difference between West Africa and South Africa? It's far. It's about 6 hours to fly into that place. That's far. UK is closer. You don't know. No. I got there for the conference I was in, and we had the registration point. So the young lady's there. So where are you from? And I say I'm from Akwa Ibom State. That's in the southern part. Oh, I know. And she said something about, and I laughed. And she said, people from this side in Nigeria are this. Oh, you people, you know how to make babies. See this South African girl. I laughed. I was like, why do you say that? So we watch you in Nigerian films. Stereotypes. It's called a stereotype. A stereotype may be true or false. Are you hearing me? It's not always false. Sometimes it's true. And that's the point Paul was making. That the Cretans, that stereotype, he said, it's true. They tend to be lazy. They tend to be this. They tend to be this. Therefore, don't abandon them. Therefore, shape them. Get rid of that silliness. If you're a man, you tend to be a certain way. Young men tend to be a certain way. Men tend to be a certain way. They like chasing girls. They lack, I told you last week, why they are inclined. Because they don't have fluctuating hormonal changes up and down, up and down. They are not being pumped full of progesterone, estrogen. They are not just, chemicals are not at war within guys. Testosterone is their issue. It will affect how you are, the person you are, the people you grew up with, the group you are a part of. It is what it is. Recognize it. Don't say, this is how we are. We can't help ourselves. Don't do that. You give account to God. Now know how to fight. Oh, this is Harmattan season, yes? You've noticed the dryness has begun? So you arm yourself with Vaseline. If you are inclined, some of us, we are naturally moisturized. Self-generating moisturization. But some of you, you know it's not a joke. We are laughing, but you're not laughing. If you're not careful, you become parchment. So don't wait till it's too bad. Then you're trying to heal it like healing balm. Go and buy Vaseline. Rush and buy it. When we leave here, just stop by it. Don't play while others are playing. Before you start rubbing hair cream, buy Vaseline. Someone came here sad. I'm trying to heal your heart. Buy Vaseline. Some of us, we don't have problems. Some of you, if they don't check, next time you come, you'll be 5. The pieces of you, you have cracked. Don't wait till it's too bad. It's too bad. Have a wound. See. Oh, careful. Oh. For once in your life, plan your future. Help yourself. Help yourself. Protect yourself. Love yourself. All right? So, I am saying that recognize the tendencies that might exist. Deal with it. God is so loving. He recognizes tendencies. He knows, oh, young men tend to be like this. Young women. He didn't tell Timothy or Titus, with the older women, be careful, be careful, be careful. He said, treat them like mothers. Talk to them about this. Preach to them about this area. Fathers, older men, older women, this is what you emphasize with them. And then he gets to young women. He said, treat them with all purity. Why? Why didn't he say that with the older women? Because younger women are different from older women. There's a difference. You go ignoring reality, saying, as a child of God, everybody is the same to me. In the sense I said it, as per tribes and as per esteeming them children of God. But as regards appeal to older men as father, treat younger men as brothers. 1 Timothy 5, verse 1 to 2. Older women as mothers and younger women as sisters. Why can't we say full stop? With absolute purity. Who knows why that is written? Who thinks it's unnecessary? It's not unnecessary. It's necessary because younger women are. Eh? Do I need to explain? Okay, all the 3-year-olds, come this way. Let me explain. You're 3. Stand this side. Oh, no 3-year-olds here. Why didn't he say that when he spoke of the older women? Because they do not present any temptation near to, ever, as a younger woman. As a younger women. They don't, simply don't. The Bible recognizes it. So everybody recognize. Do you understand this? Recognize. Do not act all this sticking your head in the sand. Do not stick your head in the sand. You know you're inclined to love money. Then you notice every time around church time, someone calls you, oh boy, get business. Oh. And then you start saying, don't worry, let me just meet you. Then I'll rush. I get meeting, but I go see you first. Never see them, ever. That's your inclination. That's what the devil will use on you. We have to be aware that things pass and things can pass. And things, the devil will want to pass things. The devil is like a hunter. The lion looking for whom to devour. If you are not deliberate in your pursuit of liberty, you're not going to recognize that, this is the circumstance I find myself, or I may find myself, or it's possible I may be trapped. He talked about, I remember now, a pastor, a church they were to attack and destroy. They were agents of Satan, okay? Open, direct. He was a very highly placed agent of Satan. Very high. Just 24 years old. And he said that they gave him a document on the pastor that was the leader of a group of illiterate older women who were prayer. You notice they didn't try to tempt the man through any of the women because they were older women. They didn't bother. You remember the man was not married? That he had a child from before. You remember? The man didn't have a wife. That's actually interesting. They didn't try to tempt him with seduction because that was not in his lineage. Now, for those who have not watched that testimony, you absolutely have to watch it. If you can watch it with people, if you don't want to go through the one I played and commented on, go for the 3-hour version. That is just ask anybody here. They will send you the link. It's on YouTube. By now, it has millions of views, I'm sure. Sure, it's millions of views. When we watched it, it was 7 days old. When I watched it, it was 4 days old. They had just posted it. Every day, 100,000, 200,000 people watched it worldwide. The most amazing testimony. The most amazing testimony. Very powerful. Ought to be airing in churches everywhere. But what did it say? And what was stood out about it? They said this church is causing trouble. This church is destroying us. This church is a problem. What do we do? Take it down. If they continue praying, they were praying for 90 days. They had a prayer project they were carrying out. And they're causing devastation. If they hit those 90 days, according to the covenant they made and prayed, if they succeed and keep their covenant of meeting every day, not failing to meet, never being late, and all of them present. And the covenant was, if anybody comes late, we cancel and start from day one. If we come late, if we don't start, so they will arrive 30 minutes before the meeting, and they will pray. By the time these demonic people had their international conference and discussed in that group of high-level occultists and wizards and witches, and said you have to stop them. And these their meetings are not in the spirit realm, physically. We were in a hotel, took it. And when they gathered and talked, They said, you have only 22 days left for them to hit 90. They hit 90 days. Over that area, a certain area in that country, there will be revival for 70 years. So you must stop. And you're the best man for the job. You must stop them. And since he grew up without any affection, he was a very brutal killer. He was very powerful. He had been into darkness from birth. He belonged to the devil before he was even born. He was given. His mother got him from the devil. So the whole point is this. As the people left there, said 22 days to stop these people. They stopped them, and you go and listen to how. They stopped them on day 89. One of the most painful stories I've heard in my life. The pain is horrible. They stopped them on day 89. They quarreled, and these are the rules. You can't attack them. You can't curse them. You can't attack them directly. They couldn't attack that church. They were not permitted. Say, if you attack them, you will die. You will die if you attack them. That group, it wasn't a church, it was a prayer group, but from a church. If you attack them, you die or you get converted. So be careful not to do this. And they did not. They did what Satan is best at doing. They got them to kill themselves. They got them to destroy themselves.